I think when it comes to ZBIC, there's actually more coming soon. Now, what do I mean by that? Even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'll talk about 10 cents later on in the video. Besides all that, this is even according to what they have on their own website, because on their website, they talk about the ZBIC Super App. Now, people may be thinking, like, who cares about this? Well, I think it's pretty interesting, even though it does say it's coming soon, because it says that ZBIC Pay uses blockchain speed, security, and efficiency to power everyday financial activities like salaries, bill payments, and budget tracking. Integrated with global payment networks, it is a core part of ZBIC's financial ecosystem, which I find pretty interesting considering how when it comes to ZBIC, it is part of the Circle Alliance, right? And if we take a look at Circle, it is the creator of USDC, the stablecoin, and not only that, Circle is publicly listed, and even on top of that as well, Circle is one of the backers when it comes to ZBIC, which I find pretty interesting. They also supposedly hold a big amount of ZBCN. So this all right here, I think, is pretty exciting. Now, coming soon, exactly when? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, it's coming soon. The precise exact date, it may change, right? I have no idea what the exact date will be, but then at the same time, I find it pretty interesting. And at least I think stuff like this gives me something to be a little bit more entertained about, because let's face it, the altcoin space isn't doing good. Altcoins, they're looking a little bit boring as of right now. ZBCN, it's looking kind of boring as well, actually, in the grand scheme of things in terms of price. In terms of fundamentals, I'm actually excited, which is why I think that during a time when the price isn't necessarily doing the best, I like ZBIC because they're at least doing something. They're working towards something, right? And that keeps me entertained, the way I take a look at it. Because if they're not actually doing anything, then it will be completely boring. There's a lot of projects out there. The price clearly is not doing good right now, and they're not really doing anything. So that's kind of like boring in both sides or both aspects, I would say. But then at least this is like keeping me entertained in a certain aspect in terms of fundamentals. So I do like that. And when it comes to ZBIC, I mean, supposedly they still have over 200 payroll enterprise clients, so that's pretty impressive. And again, right, sometimes people like to say, oh, the price isn't doing good necessarily when it comes to altcoins in general, and take a look at, somewhat the pullback that we see when it comes to ZBCN. That means the adoption is not good. Well, if I'm an enterprise, do I care about the price action of a project if I'm actually looking to partner up with them in terms of like the fundamentals? I think probably not, right? I mean, let's say a payroll enterprise client, they're there. Are they constantly concerned about the price of ZBCN? I don't think so, actually. This is my perspective, right? And again, maybe as a holder, personally myself, like maybe, yeah, seeing the price go down and let's say it goes even lower, it's not necessarily such a, moment where it's the best feeling. Even though if it does go lower, I theoretically could dollar cost average even more, maybe. So it's kind of like a little bit not happy, but happy at the same time. That type of feeling. But again, if it's an enterprise client, especially for payrolls, I don't know why they'd care about the price if they're not holding, let's say, ZBCN for whatever reason. So this is the way to take a look at it. I mean, even if I take a look at the big holders when it comes to ZBCN, namely something like Circle, right, which is the creator of USDC, the stablecoin again, imagine if they held like 95% of ZBCN or something like that. Like, ZBCN makes up such a small amount, I think, of their portfolio. Hypothetically, this is the way to take a look at it. I mean, come on, USDC is so massive. Like, ZBCN is never even going to be more massive than that. Why would Circle care too much about what happens to their ZBCN holdings? Not to mention, if they're an early backer, they're probably up by a lot, actually, in theory. Because, again, ZBCN has actually done pretty okay considering where it once was. Now, there's a pullback when it comes to altcoins and stuff like that, but still, it's done pretty okay. So I don't know why Circle would be complaining, or why would they be looking to exit large amounts. Maybe, I have no idea, but I'm just saying, if I'm that massive, I don't see a need to really even exit the ZBCN holdings. Not only does it not make a big amount of the portfolio, but then also at the same time, it's already kind of up from before. But, it's just my perspective. Only time will tell. And I actually think, having something like Solana Ventures being one of the backers when it comes to ZBIC, and, Circle as well, I think it gives the project a little bit more stability. Let's just take a look in the case of something like Circle, right? Imagine if they're like more of a lesser known like project and they probably don't have USDC for whatever reason. Like maybe they have an incentive to kind of exit at a certain point. But just the way Circle is kind of doing things, being publicly listed, being so massive, USDC is doing really amazing, right, in the grand scheme of things. why would they be looking to exit when it comes to ZBCN? It just gives me more confidence in the project. That's the way to take a look at it. But even besides that as well, when I take a look at something like Zebec, people like to say, oh, when it comes to the Solana aspect, people don't really care about that. Well, maybe as of right now, not too much because, Solana isn't necessarily doing the best either. But during an altcoin season, if we do ever even see one, if there's some attention for Solana there, I think maybe some could hypothetically trickle down to something like Zebec, but only time will tell. Now, when it comes to, 10 cents, it's now around a 25x from here, but still market cap at that point would be around $9 billion considering current circulating supply, so it's still nothing that would surprise me too much. It doesn't seem that, I think, ridiculous in the grand scheme of things. And again, I don't think the Zebec super app is necessarily gonna become the biggest thing of all time, or should I say Zebec Pay, right? But even besides that, I still think it's a step in the right direction. I still think that, they're at least doing something. So I do like that. And as of right now, I feel like a lot of projects out there, they often thrive off the narrative of kind of the story as opposed to what it already is. Because if we just take a look at the top 200 projects right now in terms of market cap, a lot of them I see don't really have good adoption whatsoever. But why are they so massive still, even as of right now? It's because I think the sentiment right now still favors the type of projects that have a narrative and kind of have a story, as opposed to what it's been able to accomplish so far, and also as opposed to what the adoption is like. You know what I mean? For instance, if we take a look at a massive project, let's say Filecoin, which is focused on data storage, I don't think the adoption is the best, but the market cap when it comes to Phil, which is its utility token, it's still pretty massive. And I am a fan of Filecoin, but still, I just can't say that the adoption is the best because I don't think it is. But then, still, Phil, market cap is very massive in the grand scheme of things, considering the pullback. It's still over $1 billion, But even besides that as well, when I take a look at something like Zebec, I still like it overall. I like its focus on payrolls. It's been able to do quite a lot of things with that. And when we take a look at the Zebec cards, now, some people may think it's a little bit counterintuitive to be focused so much on the Zebec cards because a lot of projects, even meme coins out there, have cards, but I still think they're taking it seriously and they're taking a different approach, right? If we take a look at Zebec cards, they are powered by MasterCard. They support many blockchains, let's say Ethereum, Solana, something like the Binance Smart Chain, even the Base Network, which is Coinbase's layer 2, which has been gaining, pretty decent momentum as of late. Again, Coinbase's layer 2, that's pretty impressive. So I don't know why I would give up when it comes to Zebec. I still like maybe what it's doing moving forward. Supposedly there's more coming soon and I'll be waiting. And I just don't want to give up like that. I feel like especially seeing what Zebec has already been able to do so far, fundamentally what it still has in the works, for instance, even working towards ISO 20022 compliance and also seeing something like the Zebec super app coming soon and all this, it's a little bit harder for me to give up on it than to still believe in it, It's easier for me just to continue on than just give up, because I've already seen what it did. But nonetheless, I am staying patient, and that's pretty much about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Billy the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.